On today's episode of the Influencer Interview, I'll be speaking with Jack Mahoney. Jack, what's your username again? Jack Grubbs
Jack
or
Grubbs.
Jack
Yeah.
Grubbs? Nice. How'd you come up with that?
So when I first started, I was just posting like meals and like full day of eating, full day of training stuffs. And it was like organicjack.co at first, and I didn't really like the name. So I wanted to do something like nutrition inspired. So I was like Jack Grubbs. That was the first thing that came up that worked. So it
Nice.
was pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I've seen some of your eats too, your grubs. You've got some good
Yeah.
aesthetic. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks. Yeah. Gotta get it a little bit better though. Gotta get like
Well,
you with the dog bowls as well.
your viewership has gone up a lot. I mean, I remember watching your
Yeah.
videos a few months ago,
Yeah.
and yeah, the quality, the just the amount of views they're getting. Yeah,
For sure. Thank you. Yeah.
no problem. So I guess it says in your bio that, of course, God first. Amen.
hmm
I respect that.
Yeah.
And you're a fitness trainer, nutrition
Mhm.
coach. You have a keyword that people can DM you that
Mhm.
you will, give them some advice. Maybe you have a course. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when I first started, like I said before, I was just doing like posting my meals and like posting my training. And I quickly realized that I could probably start a business. So I got in touch with a mentor. He taught me a couple things, and then we went into fitness coaching. So what I do is I make like full nutrition plans and full training plans for people using some applications online. And what we do is, so when they DM you the code word, you talk to them, see like how everything's going with them, see their weak points, see where they need to work on, and then you usually set up a call with them, and then you hop on a call and talk about a few things, tell them about the program, give them the offer with like the one-on-one coaching offer, and then you also like see how they feel with that. If they don't like that, then you could either do specific training or specific nutrition programs, and then see where it goes from there. And yeah, it's been good. I had a couple clients early on that were very well. They were seeing some really good progress, and it's something that I really enjoy. Just like hopping on calls with the clients every single week, like seeing where they're standing, like seeing them making progress, like helping them get across roadblocks and all that stuff. And
Mm,
it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I could see myself doing for a good amount of time. Just got to figure out how to, you know, get my message across better through social media and kind of do a better job at marketing myself and marketing my lifestyle. The only thing I'm having a little bit of trouble with like now is I know you probably know I'm out in college right now, so out in Connecticut, and that's
mhm.
like the one big thing that's really holding me back. I was never a big fan of college. I would never really believed in the whole like education system or anything like that. But I just ended up finding myself there, and it's not a bad because I'll have a good backup, but I'm not doing what every ordinary college kid is doing. When I'm there and I'm training jujitsu. I'm getting in the gym. I'm waking up early. I'm focusing on my diet. I'm reading books, all that good stuff. And not to say it's making me better than anybody, but I truly believe that if I take the steps needed while I'm away at school to get ahead of everybody else, it'll put me in a good position while I'm out of there. And as much as I don't like it, as much as I don't want to be there, I think it's really important to just keep a clear mindset, keep a positive mindset, and understand that I can truly make something out of my life. And letting college be like a negative thing that's pulling me down is just it's not going to help at all. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I guess you started building some good habits and you
Yeah.
realize there's a lot of hours in the day. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, man.
Honestly, just waking up early is like the biggest thing, and that's something I struggle with when I come home. I'm not gonna lie, is waking up early. Try and get up around like 6, 7 a.m. Sometimes ends up being like 8, 9 a.m. And you just, bro, you see such a big difference. It's like when you wake up a couple hours later than you wanted to, it just messes with. I don't know if it's for anyone else, but for me, it just messes up my mind, messes up my schedule, and just like throws me off a little bit.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. It's just like right off the bat how you're starting your day.
yeah,
It really sets a rhythm. Yeah, for
for
sure.
sure,
So
yeah.
what got you into influencing? Like how did you gain a passion for lifting and nutrition? Where'd you come from?
So I started off when I was about like 14, 15 years old. Like I've always been big into sports, always been big into training. And so here, I'll take it back a little bit further actually. So my main sports growing up were basketball, soccer, like normal kid. And then the one sport that set me across from everyone else was the sport called Gaelic football. So it's like Irish football. So it's basically like rugby, like Ireland's version of rugby, and it's huge over there. And so I played that growing up my whole life. And then when I was about 14 years old, I tried out for the New York. So New York has like specific teams that go back to Ireland every year. So I tried out for that team. I ended up making it, and it was just going down to the city like 2, 3 times a week at like 14, 15 years old and like going through those trainings. Like that's what really set me apart from a lot of people is because it was like building that discipline,
Hmm.
building that endurance, building that mindset. And that's what really got me into just all like fitness, all training, just like all in on that because that's eventually what I learned to love. And so move on a couple years, I'm still playing. We're going back to Ireland like every year, every other year. And I started getting into the gym more because I wanted to be better. And when I was about like, yeah, 14, 15, like I said before, I really got big into the gym and I fell in love with it. Started tracking my calories, started, taking progress pictures every single day and just really taking it serious. And it became a big passion for me. And like move on a couple of years later, I just kept staying consistent with it because I knew it would bring me something eventually. Kept focusing on my diet. And then this past summer, I found a lot of guys that were doing like the whole hybrid athlete and like animal based diet and like whole foods diet and all that stuff and like the full day of eatings. Like yours was something I found actually too, which I found really interesting. Just like the day in the life and that. And so I was like, why not give it a try?
Hmm.
So I started just posting my meals every day. Started getting my diet super clean, and I realized like it was something I was passionate about, so I stuck with it. And then a couple weeks after I started, I actually got a job down in the city, so it made it a little bit harder. But I did have more money to like put into my food and more money to put into like a better gym, better filming equipment, and all that stuff. So it was hard to balance it all, but that's also how I was able to invest in a mentor in order to learn how to coach and like learn that skill and get better with my whole entire content plan and all that stuff. So I think it was
Hmm.
very good, and it became something that like I actually felt like I was doing with like a purpose. It wasn't just like something I was doing just to do, you know? I wasn't
Yeah.
just posting reels just because I wanted to post reels. I was posting reels because I felt like it was something that was giving my life meaning and purpose. And I was
Hmm.
moving towards something that I actually could see myself doing and something that could actually benefit me in the future. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
sort of like your rosebud, for lack
Yeah.
of a better word. Yeah.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
actually I did a few seasons of rugby. I don't know how similar it is
Yeah.
to Gaelic, like what the specific differences are. But
So yeah, so
yeah, that's a rough sport. Like you got to be,
yeah, it is rough. Yeah.
yeah, you gotta be like a bit of a badass to
Yeah.
to shine in rugby. Like you have to be
Uh-huh.
willing to sprint, you know, full
Yeah.
dive tackle. Yeah, that's awesome.
Willing to get hit too. Rugby
Yeah.
is so Gaelic's not as much like hitting and stuff. It's more like ball movement. So it's basically like a soccer ball, like a round ball. It's not like the rugby ball.
Okay.
And so it's a lot of like kick passing and fist passing. And it's almost like basketball. It's like a mix of basketball, soccer, and rugby in one. So I could send you some clips afterwards. It's kind of hard to explain, but so you have a goal similar to the rugby goal. So it's a goal, and then it's
Mm,
two posts. So it's like if you get it over, it's 1 point. If you get it in the goal, it's 3 points. And it's you have six defenders, so three fullbacks, three halfbacks, two midfielders, three half forwards, and three full forwards. So it's like 15 aside, and the whole objective is just to move the ball around, and try and score. And the game has developed a lot over a long time. And the reason why I got into it actually was because my father's from Ireland and he played growing up, and he moved over to the States when he was like 14 years old, and he moved to like a big Irish neighborhood, and so he
mm,
kept playing. And then eventually, when I was about like 5 years old, I started playing with like the under 10s, and it was fun. Like right away, he was like, "Yeah, you were like scrappy." He was like, "You're five
yeah.
years old trying to fight kids,"
Yeah.
but it was funny. How
Yeah.
is
Like
rugby for you though? I've never played rugby. How was that
rugby is
experience?
great. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't I didn't have the same level of physical fitness when I was playing. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't lean. I was actually a much bigger guy
Mhm.
at the time. So I
Yeah.
was kind of a heavy hitter, but I had trouble chasing after people.
Yeah.
But that's a sport that like separates, I want to say, the weak from the strong. People that have
Yeah.
natural mental toughness and they're willing to get hit,
Mhm.
they're willing to hit. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and
For
those
sure.
contact sports in Canada, especially, they're kind of starting to fade now. Like
Really?
we've never had we don't have much wrestling in public schools.
Mhm.
I think even in the U.S. you guys have boxing, right? In high school.
For high schools, no, but there's a lot of college programs that do boxing. Like there's like club boxing teams that face off against each other.
Yeah. Like
So
in Canada, the
that's a big
most you'll
thing.
see is a rugby team, but in my 11th and 12th year of high school, we didn't have many people try out, and then we had to cancel it.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
but those sports are such great ways to build your toughness and build your manhood for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It is good. I've always wanted to try rugby, but it was the whole thing I was worried about was like head trauma. Was getting
Yeah.
hit in the head too hard and then like getting a couple concussions or something like that.
You definitely
So,
experience that more in football. In rugby,
mhm.
the I find that the tackling is far more controlled. You can't hit above the
Yeah.
waist. If you do, you get a penalty, and
Oh,
like
okay.
it's very looked down upon to high tackle. Um,
Yeah.
and I find that there's a lot more stress. There's none of that head bashing because you're not wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
You can't I think
Yeah.
it's called charging in football,
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
so it is actually far more controlled. There's far less injuries, but
Mhm.
concussions are a much bigger problem in football for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And
But
then you train a lot of Muay Thai as well, yeah?
I did. I used to. I actually haven't
Yeah.
been to the gym in a few months now because I got other things going on.
Yeah,
But
that's okay.
Muay Thai was a huge part of my life. Yeah,
Yeah.
for 3 or 4 years. And you're doing
That's
jujitsu.
awesome.
It's
Yeah, a lot
martial
of
arts are the
consistent
best.
jujitsu.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. It's good for the mind, good for the body. One
yeah.
thing I do want to transfer over into like regular martial arts though, more like kickboxing,
Some striking.
Muay Thai style. Yeah, for sure. Because that's kind of what got me into the whole thing was when I was younger, I did a lot of Taekwondo, which is like it's kind of like karate and
Hmm.
kind of it's just mainly like kicks. And only did it for like 1 or 2 years when I was super young, but it gave me like a good base. And then Gaelic football as well, like gave me good like flexible hips. Good, so I had good kicks, and
Hmm.
that was like always my main thing was like my kicking. And so I used to just like hit the heavy bag in the garage and just like train a lot like on my own, but I never really like got to a gym and like really dedicated myself to that. But I found jujitsu because it was actually funny. So I went to school last year, was my freshman year, and like it was kind of hard. I was trying to like find my way the first couple weeks, and it was like I had like my week. I had like the first 2 weeks of school where it was just like a lot of partying, and I was like, I saw all that, and I was like, I could either go down this route,
Right.
or I found jujitsu there when I was there as well, and I was like, or I could just like stick with this and like see where this takes me.
Put your
So
head
like
down.
instead of going with yeah, literally. So instead of just like going with all the kids like that were just partying, having fun, having the time of their life, I was just like let me take a risk, let me try this out, let me see how this goes, and like I just began to love it. So we had a club team last year, and I was training like 3 to 5 times a week, and then I came home for winter break. I found a gym like 5 minutes from my house. Actually, this is where I still train now back home, and then I went back in the spring, kept training, and it was really good. Then had a good summer of training, and when I went back to school this year, our club team actually got shut down, so we don't have that anymore. But I did find a gym over in Connecticut that my uncle had a connection to, so it's a very good gym. It's do you know like JT Torres? Have you ever heard the name?
I haven't, no.
So JT Torres is like he's like a big name in jiu-jitsu, and he has a big school in White Plains in New
Hmm.
York, and they opened up an affiliate school called Hammer. It's in Connecticut, and so that's where I've been training. It's been very good. So yeah,
Nice.
trying to get a couple competitions in. I had one a couple weeks ago, but I think I'm going to sign up for another one January 16th, and then I think February late February, and then one in March. So I'm really
Yeah,
looking forward to those.
yeah.
That should be good.
There's something really special and really unique about competing in martial arts because
Yeah,
it's just you and your opponent. And it's
yeah,
like I don't want to not don't I don't want not any wrong connotations, but it's very intimate. Like, um,
yeah,
and then there's a lot of respect, before and after.
uh
People sometimes they'll bring in negativity, but like
yeah,
if you're able to step into a ring or step on the mat with another guy and just brawl it out or like try to rip each other apart and then hug it
mhm,
out afterwards, like that's
yeah.
it's yeah, it's a great experience. I think as many people as possible, as many guys should try to step in the ring or do some sort of martial
100%.
arts competition. Yeah, because it's a
Yeah, for
different
sure.
level when you go from just training and then you compete.
Yeah.
It legitimizes it and it
Yeah.
rounds out the experience. You
Uh-huh.
know?
And
Yeah.
that feeling of like right before you're about to compete. Like I remember my first comp a couple weeks ago. It was like my heart was beating and I was like staying calm. Like I was doing breath work. I was listening to some
Mm,
like frequencies, like music, like weird shit. And then so I was just sitting there and I was like trying to keep my calm, but I was so nervous. And
yeah.
then I stepped on the mat. I stepped on the mat and I just like basically like blacked out, like just no thoughts. It was
Yeah.
just straight into like flow state. And then you start rolling, and then before you know it, the match is over.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's like it feels like you're there for like an hour, 2 hours leading up to the match, and then next thing you know, the match is over.
Like that.
So yeah, just like that.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
took
that's awesome.
until my like fourth or fifth fight to
Mhm.
actually have a clear head walking up to the ring. you know?
Yeah.
Like you're able to look at your opponent, you have your game plan, and just not honestly, just not forgetting the game plan, not
Yeah.
having it completely wiped from your memory because you have your
Yeah.
you tell yourself, don't forget, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw, leg kicks. I'm gonna focus on my combinations,
Mhm.
focus on my jab. But then you get closer to the ring, and then everything you
Yeah.
see, oh, there's my mom,
Everything
and
just
then you
disappears.
forget everything. Yeah,
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 for sure.
um, yeah, for
That's
sure.
kind of the one thing I made a mistake on going into the jujitsu comp was because I didn't really go in with like a game plan. I kind of just went in and I was like, I'm gonna see whatever happens, happens, and
Mm,
like that's where you go wrong. You know, you quickly get exposed, and you when you don't have a game plan, you crumble under pressure because you don't have something that you're constantly thinking of. When you
yeah,
just go in there and you just try and like, it's not like a regular role where you're just like being creative and like trying out new things. It's like you have to have like something specific that you could stick to. And I think that's the cool thing about martial arts is like it's like chess. It's like
it
it's so
is.
like complex and like complicated, but at the same time it seems so simple to someone that's watching it,
Hmm.
which is the cool thing. But
It's I think it's super vital as well to like develop instincts for that kind of sport
yeah,
because
for sure.
in a game like hockey and basketball, you have teammates, you have coaches, you can take advice better. Whereas with fighting, you need to hit the bag with a particular combination so many times that you don't need to think about it to
Hmm.
throw it. You just
So
have
you can
it
just
reaction or like as a
yeah, for sure.
reaction, you don't have to think
Yeah,
because
for
as soon
sure.
as you start thinking, you're behind the eight ball. You
Hmm.
know. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So why don't
You
you?
need to be able to just tap into that flow. Like when you
Yeah,
have that
exactly. The flow
subconsciously, you
state.
can subconsciously do those. Yeah, exactly. That's the
Yeah,
biggest thing about jujitsu is just being able to flow for like an hour, hour and a half, just training. Just like you disappear for like an hour and a half,
yeah,
and you come out of training and it feels like it's first thing in the morning, but it's like 8 p.m.
yeah,
It's a weird feeling.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And to sort of circle back to what you were saying earlier about being
Hmm.
in university and using all the hours in the day, like
Hmm.
training martial arts or hitting the gym or focusing on your nutrition. I guess if you want to expand, because you're a coach on this, but
Hmm.
um, it doesn't take long to really separate yourself from the masses.
Yeah.
you know so why don't if you could go a little bit more in depth on what your coaching involves, and
Hmm.
also what you think people need the most, like how are they
Yeah,
benefiting
for sure.
from your advice.
So the one thing I always make sure to push on people is to cut out all like highly processed food and all junk foods because that's the one thing that holds a lot of people back. And that's like the biggest thing is you get a lot of excess calories from highly processed foods and like junk foods, prepackaged foods and all that stuff. So the main thing is just switching people to like a whole foods diet.
Hmm.
And for some people it's hard to fully commit. So I say like 80-20. And I don't really believe in the whole 80-20 rule, but some people just aren't going to be able to change. So that's still like a good rule of thumb for them. And so yeah, nutrition is the thing that I push the most, and training as well is very important. Just like consistent weight training. If you're trying to pack on muscle, you go low volume, you go heavy weight, you push to failure, and then we make so for the trainings we'll make programs for them. So this app Trainerize, you set up all their programs. So say they want to do a push pull leg split. So first we find out what their split looks like, what their schedule looks like, how we can work out specific workouts into their routine. So
Hmm.
like some people will only be able to work out 3 times a week, some people will be able to work out 5 times a week, and so it depends. And so say someone can only work out 3 times a week, we'll do like push pull legs, or we'll do like upper, lower, and core depending on what they want. And then we'll go in and we'll make the specific workouts that work for them. And then I'll hop on a call with them like the next week, see, or either just send them a message and see how that exactly works with them. Because I like it to be very what's the word I'm looking for? Like I like it to be like they're getting exactly what they want and I'm providing them it to the best of my ability.
Hmm.
So the training is very important, the nutrition is very important. And for the nutrition I do custom meal plans. So what a lot of coaches do is they'll just like do a pre-made meal plan that the computer generates. What I like to do is I like to go in and plan out each day and each meal. And then what I tell my guys to do is take like two, three, or four, or do the whole thing for those days and just stick to those. Because some people can't stick to the whole 7 day nutrition plan and like do it day by day by day. So I say
Hmm.
pick 2 or 3 days, stick to that, or pick the whole thing. It's up to you. And then also what I provide is I like to do the week, so I do weekly calls. So I'll meet with them once a week and we'll discuss everything. We'll discuss how their training is going, we'll discuss how the nutrition plan is going and make any changes needed. And I think that's one of the most important things is because their preferences might change over time. The way like their lifts, they might want to change up their lifts, stuff like that. And also just like holding them accountable. Like when they're meeting with me every week, it kind of reminds them that like I'm I need to, push myself. If I'm doing this, I need to dedicate myself. And that's
Hmm.
what I like to push on them is I like to push on mindset, I like to push consistency, discipline, all that stuff. And honestly, to get ahead of a lot of people nowadays, it's not very hard. And that's what I like to help them realize is if you just believe in yourself a little bit and you do a little bit of extra work that a lot of people aren't doing, it could really set you ahead of the crowd. And I think our generation is very behind in a sense, and everyone's addicted to their phones.
Hmm.
Everyone's addicted to like all these vices that are holding them back, whether it's smoking, whether it's drinking, whether it's all that stuff. And it's kind of sad to see because a lot of people are living a life with no purpose. And that's the big thing is like I believe that once you get your health and fitness in line, that's when you can start to live a life of purpose because you're actually doing something that's benefiting yourself. And then once you get that set, then that's when you go out and search for like what you actually want to do in your life. But if you can't take control of your mind and your body first, then you're kind of just left in the dust. And I think that's why it's so important. Also, another thing was like we were talking about with the martial arts, it's like finding things like that isn't just lifting weights, that isn't just like tracking calories, like finding things that you could actually be passionate about and like put your all into and compete in and all that is very very important. I think it like really gives you an edge on certain people.
Yeah, for sure. It's That's a great point. A lot of great points.
Mhm.
I like what you said as well about how there are so many. I guess you could say toxins or distractions in the modern world. Like,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't only be. It's not only vaping and smoking and ultra processed food,
Mhm.
but those also have a mental toll. I feel like, and they
Yeah.
they really hold you back from your potential. Not
Mhm.
only just vaping is terrible for your lungs. It's terrible for your respiratory system and
Mhm.
whatever. I'm not a scientist, but it's physically it's terrible for you, but it also holds you back mentally. So
Mhm.
do you find that a lot of your clients just have trouble? I love this term locking in. Do they have
Yeah.
they just can't lock in?
So a lot of them, it's honestly like not hard at all. It's just making the commitment. And I think when you're buying something, whether it's a course, whether it's a program, whether it's a coach or a mentor, like I put my money into, it's like you kind of need that first step because
Hmm.
if you're not gonna put money into something, because money is value. If you're not putting any value into something, you can't really commit to it. So I find whenever I buy a coach or whenever I pay for a mentor or I invest my money into learning a new skill or picking up a new course that I can learn from, I feel like that's when you really can go all in on it. But it's also the thing is just like discipline, and discipline just comes from building habits, but you can't build habits without controlling your dopamine levels in your brain. And that's what we were talking about before, where all that stuff gets to your brain, like all the scrolling,
Mm,
all the vaping, all the smoking, all the drinking, and like there's a ton of other stuff that holds people back nowadays, but like we don't have to dive too deep into that just yet. But that's what it controls, is it controls the dopamine in your brain. So I find with a lot of my friends back home that I don't get to see as much anymore, but when I do come into contact with them, it's a lot of the big problems nowadays is smoking, like marijuana and weed, and that's what's really holding kids back. It's because it clouds the brain and it
hmm.
clouds your mind, and you can't feel things like you usually would. Say you're smoking and you go hit a workout, you're not going to feel the same dopamine that you would if you weren't smoking. If
Yeah,
you were to go eat a good meal, you're not going to feel as good as if you would, be completely sober. And I think that's why it's so important to get rid of anything that's clouding the mind and anything that's holding you back, because you want to be able to live and experience, because you're only young for like not that long.
yeah,
And that's a really important thing is like you're 15 years old to 30 years old is going to fly by. And if you don't live in the moment every single day chasing after something and live with pure mental clarity and pure vision on your goals, then you're kind of just holding yourself back and you're kind of just going through the motions. I think it's very, very important to have clear goals, to get mental clarity, to get your health, to get your fitness right, and just be chasing after something in your life, because that's honestly what makes a purpose and meaningful life. And like I said, getting closer to God, like that's one of the biggest things that has helped me. I've always had like a relationship with God. I've always, when I was younger, I prayed a lot and I went to church a lot, but I never truly like understood
mm,
like getting close with God is like a personal. It's like your personal development journey. Like going to church by yourself, going to church with your grandparents, going to church even when you don't feel like it. You can go in there and have like all this stress and anxiety and all this like burden upon you, and you go in there and you just sit and you just listen and you pray, and when you get out of there, it's like you're a whole new different person. It's like the weirdest feeling. And I try and push this on a lot of my friends too, try and like get them to realize, but it's just a lot of people just don't believe nowadays. And that's what I think our society is missing, that like how it used to be. A lot of people used to have that family, that close family unit is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I think that's what America is trying to break down. That's what modern society is trying to break down. They don't want strong families that are close with God, that have good health, that have good fitness. They just want
yeah,
everybody separated, doing their own things, away from home. And that's why I think college is so pushed upon nowadays, is because you're away from home, you can't build. But I think that's why I'm inspired by what you're doing. You're back home, you're working, you're in the like you're I'm pretty sure you're with your dad in business, right?
yeah.
With this, like that's so cool. Like I really like I like that, because you're building as a family, and like you're building something together. You're not branching off into all these different parts. I feel like when you can build as a family, that's the most important thing.
That's
And I think that's
so
kind of
many
what
great
that's what I'm
points.
striving for in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's definitely an incentive to
Hmm.
destroying the family unit right now. There's
Hmm.
a lot of money to be made in wrecking the lives of the youth and extending their adolescence into university and
Hmm.
spiking their like or I don't know if it's spiking your dopamine or just having
Hmm.
a bad relationship with positive or which is just hormones, you know,
Hmm.
playing with them whether it's through with food or drugs or video games or
Hmm.
um, what do they call it now? Like doom scrolling. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
That's a
crazy.
bad one.
Yeah, and it's really gone off the rails recently, like
Hmm.
with just the technology. Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. And another big thing is that I always make people aware of, where I try to anyway, and I want to make this more common in my content, is like endocrine disruptors, and like
Mm,
all the things that are in our foods, all the things that are in our daily supplies that we use. Because if you look at all the big companies, all the big corporations, there's like 6, 7 big corporations that run like every big business in America. So like all your skincare, all your shampoos, all your face washes, um, your laundry detergent, like all that stuff is run by like 6 big corporations that branch out into other small companies. And like there's a reason why there's all this bad toxic stuff in your food and in your face wash and all these like daily products that you use every single day. And it's like it's clear and it's obvious, but we just need to make it
mm,
more open to everyone. We need to kind of push it more on people, because once they see this, they can see, oh, like this, like there's a reasoning behind why I don't feel good. There's a
yeah,
reasoning why I can't, get up every day and like chase after my dreams and chase after my goals, and I'm just stuck on my phone and I'm just like stuck in a rut. Like there's reasoning behind all this stuff, and I don't think people realize that. I think people just think that all this stuff is just happening because it's just regular life. They think that's just how life is supposed to be. They think you're just supposed to go through the motions and just
mm,
feel like crap all the time. But like that's the big thing, is diet. Like I thought it was kind of like a fad, like the whole animal based diet and like getting your nutrition right. And then I tried it and I was like, I feel amazing. Like I actually feel amazing, and like it changes your life. Like when you feel good, you get more done. You can start up a business. You have more time to work on stuff. You have more time to go to the gym. You have more time to spend with family, and it just brings out your authentic self, because you could actually be you when you feel good. And
yeah,
I think that's a very important thing.
yeah, for sure. I agree with you. I think for like 90% of
Mhm.
people, it starts with diet. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
but it's really every facet of our life going, and I think you have it in your bio too, the holistic approach
Mhm.
to life, whether it's, the
Mhm.
clothes you put on your body, the skincare products, your food, how you regulate your sleep and your hormones. And yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. Like there's obviously a reason behind the recent push with just a holistic lifestyle and going back to
Yeah.
how humans have, I don't, I don't know if you believe in evolution or not, if you want,
Yeah.
but like how humans have existed for, since the dawn of our existence. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. I
The
think that's
holistic
a
approach.
really important thing. Yeah, for sure. Just like going back to the old ways of just like, like living with a family on a farm, like making
Mm,
your own food,
yeah.
like living off the land, like stuff like that. I think that's cool, but people are just
Connecting.
so pushed into university. Yeah, exactly. People are so pushed into like universities and like cities and just like all this modernization. And
Yeah, not
although it
natural.
is a good thing, yeah, like it's a good thing for the economy, I guess. It's a good thing for, like growth. But like when the government is trying to get good economic growth, because that's what I'm studying in school right now is economics, and it's just you see like the whole, it's like all they care about is GDP growth, like how investment is doing, like unemployment, and it's just they look at everything as a whole rather than like look at how individual people are doing.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, we want to see GDP growth, we want to see unemployment go down, we want to see inflation go down, and it's like all these factors, but it's like they don't care about how individuals are doing. They care about how we're doing as a whole. They don't care about if you're healthy. They don't care if you're fit. They don't care if you're chasing after something. It's just the whole thing is they want you to just go through school, go to college, get a regular job, and just be okay with what you have and just like feel like crap, right? Like all the time. So you can't think for
Yeah,
yourself. But like what you have to do is you have to, as corny as it sounds, you have to escape that like day to
to
day
push
matrix. You
back.
have to, yeah, exactly. You have to make something for yourself and like, and really kind of explore, like see what there is out there in life. Like pick up new hobbies. Like
Hmm.
something I picked up a couple years ago was snowboarding. And it's just like stuff like that, like opens your eyes to how beautiful life can really be when you're on top of a mountain looking around, like snowboarding down a mountain. It's like this is life. Like this is
Yeah.
I want more of this. This is like an authentic experience.
Hmm.
And like you can have that, but like what am I trying to say? You can have that, but it needs to be authentic.
Hmm.
Like get outside, get in nature more, like eat real food, clean food. Like
Yeah.
when you do all that stuff, like you can actually experience life and like see what this world really has to offer. If you're just gonna, scroll on your phone all day and just eat junk food and just, not live a life of meaning and purpose, then like what are you doing? Like we've been over the past like 1,000, 2,000 years, like humans have thrived, and like
Yeah.
each individual was always chasing after something and living a life of purpose. And like whether it was like working with their family or like working on the land or like even back in like like the eight like not no like very long ago, like it was like we had like warriors, like we had like real like people that could fight. Now it's just a lot
Hmm.
of just
There was
sitting back laying in your
inspiration.
bed all day.
There's no
Yeah,
inspiration. It's normalized to not
and
have any,
art and
like, not,
culture.
what do you mean you don't have
Yeah,
motivation? You don't want to better
yeah,
yourself? And as soon as you lock in, like you really you start to
yeah.
desire real experiences.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the whole thing is like just take the first step. Like I know a lot. Like maybe some people watching this or they feel stuck. They watch your videos. They watch my videos. They're like, I want to get like this, but like it's not hard. Like it seems like it's this
Yeah.
big thing that you have to commit your whole life to, but it's really not hard. Just start eating real food. Start getting in the gym. Start picking up new hobbies. If you want to make a lot more money, start a little business. Like take
Hmm.
inspiration from other people. Like look at all these people that are doing the things and living the life that you want to live, and understand that you're no different than them. Like you are no different than them. That's the big thing that was able to help me push. I haven't come too far, but that was the big thing that's helped me push as far as I have come so far. As I realized all these people that have made it, all these people that are doing what I want to do, they're no different than me. I'm a
Hmm.
regular person. They're a regular person. The only thing that's different is they got their life together and they were willing to put in the work. They were willing to get uncomfortable. They were willing to spend the time and effort that it took in order to make something out of their life. And you have to understand that you can too. Like you can really make something out of your life, but it starts with taking control of yourself. It starts with taking control of your mind, taking control of your daily habits and actions, and you can truly do anything. And that's also another thing. That's one of my messages that I want to push across in my content more is that people can literally accomplish whatever they want in life. And if you take the time to write down on paper what it is that you actually want out of life, write down your dreams, write down your goals, like envision what it is that you actually want to do, then you can start to reverse engineer that and figure out exactly what you can do to get there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people lack direction. A lot of people don't know where they want to go. They don't know the end goal for themselves. And they also don't know how they're going to get there. But if you take the time to write it down and you take the time to learn a skill and find something you're passionate about and put all your time and energy into it, then that's what will truly set you apart from other people. And I think that is very important. So
Absolutely. That's such a great message. Yeah. All right.
thank you. Yeah.
Um, well, I think that's all the time that we have today, but I think that is
Mhm.
also a great way to end it off. You
For
made
sure.
a ton of great points. I can't wait to drop this episode, and I can't wait to
Yes,
see more
sir.
of your content. I can't wait to watch you grow.
For sure. Thank you so much, brother. It was great. It was great talking to you today.
Yeah, you're welcome. was a pleasure.